Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the Innisfree My Foundation All Day Longwear. I wish that it was the other way around. I wish that it was Innisfree All Day Longwear My Foundation because it would make much more grammatical sense in English. But it is not an English brand, it is a Korean brand, so I understand. I just don't like it. I picked this up because I have previously really liked some cushion foundations from Innisfree that were really light and very yellow. I think that they used to be in the shade 11, but they stopped producing them, which is really sad. But this one looked like a very yellow toned foundation, and I'm happy to say that it is. It is slightly darker than what I would usually get, so if you are nice sheer glow in Siberia, this one will be a little bit darker, but it's not too much, so it's ideal for me when I'm slightly tanned, which is like now. So for this one, the product description says, Smart Sebum Fixing Powder absorbs excess sebum and prolongs wear time for up to 24 hours without darkening. Moisturizing cover powder adheres evenly to skin for non-cakey, semi-matte coverage without drying out the skin. Protects skin against UV damage with SPF 25 PA+++. So the packaging of this foundation is very simple. It's just in a little glass jar, but it does come with a pump top on top, which I really like. The decoration is very minimal on this one, which I'm fine with as well. I got mine in the shade number 17N, which was the lightest shade in the neutral range. They had a cool tone range and a neutral range, so I'm definitely not cool toned. I'm not really neutral, I'm definitely warm toned, but they didn't have a warm range, so I went for the lightest in the neutral, and it worked out really well for me. It's quite yellow and it's quite light. So I'm going to put about a pump of this on the back of my hand, and I'm going to be using my Espoir cushion puff to apply this because it's my favourite cushion puff right now. And yes, I do have favourites for cushion puffs, which sounds really surprising, but honestly, there is a big difference between the quality of some cushion puffs and the others. So I do find this applies pretty easily. You can hear the thing at the back unsticking. And I definitely prefer a cushion puff to apply it as well. I'm getting a little bit up in my hairline too, since my fringe is back. I've got some really terribly done French braids right now to keep my hair out of my face, and I've pretty much just been for a walk. So there's a pretty stark contrast. You can see that this is covering up a lot of the redness in my skin right now, which is quite nice. So this is how my skin looks without the foundation, and this is how it looks with the foundation. It's looking weirdly full coverage on screen, like very full coverage, but it's not that full in real life. I would say it's a nice medium. I guess I don't really use high coverage foundation, so it might look very stark in comparison, but look how nicely that matches. Wow, this is really good actually. So I'm going to quickly do the other side of my face as well. Just notice I've got a bunch of like pilled up sunscreen around my hairline. So gross, but oh well. Okay, so that is how my skin is looking right now. It does look surprisingly full coverage from far away, but I'm going to zoom you in for a second. So on the forehead, when we get close, you can still see a little bit of discoloration. I didn't quite get all the way up into this section of my forehead. I should do that though, because it does look quite patchy. So I normally wouldn't bother to get all the way up into my hairline, but because this is more full coverage than normal, I kind of actually do need to do that a bit. Because otherwise, I mean, nobody else is really looking at me right now, but you can see a difference. And there are, yeah, there's a bit of pilled up sunscreen around my hairline, so just ignore that for now. So like I said before, you still can see some texture and some scarring on the forehead. Same with around the cheeks. I can definitely still see some scarring down here, some freckles up here. It doesn't accentuate my fine lines, but it does make a little bit of the dry skin around my eyes a little bit more noticeable. Nothing too bad though. You can really see, or at least I can really see up in here. That's where I tend to get quite dry skin. I don't know why. And then a few scars around the chin. Still got this one big scar here, but it does look fairly, you know, covered up. This is a birthmark. It won't be covered up by anything. It does have a little bit foundation on it, so it blended nicely, but I just noticed that part there didn't blend so well. There we go. So the rest of the check-in isn't going to happen today because it is like 2 o'clock. It's 2:30 in the afternoon, but I will put it on tomorrow morning and check in with you guys throughout the day when I have the time to have it on for a full day. So the foundation has been on for 5.5 hours now, and no, I'm not wearing any other makeup because I'm quarantine. But so far it's looking pretty good. It is not super oily looking or anything, and it doesn't feel sticky. I do have some pretty wild glasses marks. They're actually not too bad today, to be honest, but it's holding up pretty well. So I'm up to do a bit more teaching. I have been playing the flute, but it hasn't really rubbed off or made any tarnish marks, which is really nice. So I'm going to go teach for a little bit more, and then I'm going to go for a walk and check in with you guys afterwards. So here is the foundation after, gosh, what time is it? 13.5 hours, because, I mean, that's how long I had it on for today. So today I've just been teaching. I've been out for a evening walk. I haven't done anything super strenuous. And the foundation is honestly looking okay for 13.5 hours. Like, I'm going to give it that, but it's not perfect for sure. So on the forehead I'm seeing a fair bit of shininess and oil. I can also see a bit of redness coming through now as well, up around in this section here. On the very tip of the nose there is definitely a lot of oil and there's a little bit of wear. So I think a bit of it came off when I pulled my hoodie on before, because it is quite oily, and it's not coming off super bad onto my fingertips or anything like that, but anything like, because the hoodie has not got a very big like neck hole, anything that's going to brush against the face is going to happen. Same with around my nose. This is where my glasses have been sitting, so there, and then just down here as well. So you can definitely see the redness poking through and the glasses marks there, where same on the other side as well. The mouth, there is a little bit of tarnish here, so you can see a little grey hurt. That is from flute playing, so I did a bit of my own practice in the afternoon, so I think the increased contact with the flute has exacerbated that, but that's okay. That's not a problem everybody has. You can see the redness here poking through as well, so just general declined coverage. Overall, I think that it's still on my face. It still looks okay, but again, it's not perfect, and for 13 hours I wouldn't really expect it to be either. So overall, I think that this reviews poorly, but I still really like wearing it. So when I was doing the wear test and the application, I really liked the coverage. It's kind of like a medium coverage. I found that it covered up the scars quite nicely. I don't like a too full coverage. There were some times where I used different applicators and I did get more of a full coverage, or maybe I just used more product, and that was quite a lot for me, but I also can apply it very sheerly. So it's kind of very dependent on who is applying it and how they're applying it, which is a good thing because then you get a lot of variety. But then there were some times also when I feel like it made my skin look very textured. It clung to the dry patches like nobody's business. And then other times when my skin was a lot more moisturized and I didn't have any problems with texture or clinginess on dry patches. As for longevity, I think that it lasts okay, but it's definitely not a 24-hour product. I tried mine for 13.5 hours when I did the recording, and it looked not that bad in real life, but atrocious on camera. Oh my gosh, it would look so bad on camera. So like all of the coverage was fading. You could see so much redness in my skin. It was so oily and just in general, yeah. So for something that claims that it's a 24-hour coverage product, I think that that is definitely not true. But again, I don't usually wear my foundations for that long, for most days, and I'm not adverse to blotting and touching up a little bit throughout the day as well if I need to. So I can't really bring myself to say that I don't like the product, even though there are so many negatives that I usually would be like crucifying a product for, because when I use it, because it's the right color and it looks generally okay, or I can use easy prep to make my skin look nice, so like adding a more moisturizing primer underneath, I can make it look really good with some adjustments. So it's a product that when I review it just by itself, it doesn't actually do the best job. But if I try and I use different products along with it, so like a nice setting powder, touching up throughout the day, moisturizing primers, making sure my skin is in really good condition, so really good skincare the day, then it does look really nice and I really enjoy using it. So it's a bit of like a 50-50. If you're willing to put the effort in to make the foundation look good, then it's a foundation that I would recommend. But if you're looking for an off-the-shelf product that's going to make your skin look amazing and stay on your skin all day with no extra effort, it's not something I'd recommend for you. I hope that that makes sense. There are a lot of people that are like, oh, you don't seem to like anything, your reviews are always negative, and it's not a negative to fairly point out the pros and cons of a product. It's a review. So I could say that this is great for dry skinned people, for instance, but that doesn't make it good for oily skinned people, and they exist also. So to make a fair review, there's always going to be pros and cons because we're not all the same people. If you don't like that, then I guess my reviews aren't for you. If you want to see someone raving about products like there's no cons at all, there are plenty of other YouTube channels that do that, so there's a lot of variety out there for you if that's what you want. However, there are always going to be pros and cons for products. I think that this one, I really like it, and I think that it's going to be staying in my collection, which is something that's pretty big because I don't normally keep everything that I try, but I really like the colour of this one and I can make it work for my skin with a bit of effort, so it's a win for me. So thank you guys so much for watching this review, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!